Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the opening round of the Roasted Record Bitepoint Racing Sportscar Challenge here from Laguna Seca here tonight. It's a new year and a new start to a new season, taking us all the way to April the 3rd, a long season travelling all across North America, and we start here in California. One of the twistier offerings we've got this season. There'll be a little bit more time for straight line speed later on this season. LMP2s and GT3s being split into Pro and Pro-Am drivers. They're all ready to go, and the last of them are qualifying just at the moment. But yeah, we're ready to go with multi-class action. 50-minute race tonight, starting in just about 5-10 minutes time here on the Motormouth Broadcasting YouTube channel. Myself, Ian O'Leary, and Tristan Herbst bringing you commentary tonight with Jim Cunningham behind the cameras of this broadcast. Good to be alongside you, Tristan, and work together here for this one, this 50-minute opener here from Laguna Seca. It's a very, very tight and twisty circuit to start the season. Remembering that we've got 36 drivers, I can see, who have currently set times in this qualifying session.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a great circuit to open up this season in particular, especially with the multi-class action with the LMP2s and the GT3s. We were reviewing the times, and the differentiation between LMPs and GT3s isn't as drastic as you might see on a track that it's got longer straights, where the LMP gets to stretch its top speed legs out, as you mentioned. Laguna Seca, a track very, very technical in terms of corners, not many straights. We've obviously got the Rahal straight and then the main straight from the final corner all the way down to the Andretti hairpin, but it isn't a lot of time for that LMP to stretch its legs, and so the lap times are around about a 6-second difference. You can see Aguilar currently up in first place with 1:15.3, and then the first GT3 starting off there with the likes of Cotterman with a 1:21.1. So still a bit of differentiation between the two, but it's not going to be a drastic overlapping situation like we might see at a circuit like Le Mans or something bigger with lots and lots of straights. But like you mentioned, we've got a huge calendar ahead of us. I mean, practically the first third of the entire year is being covered over here by the Bitepoint Racing League, sponsored by Roasted Records. So it's going to be an epic one to watch. And like you mentioned, a couple minutes left of qualifying, about 5 minutes or so. The drivers will be wanting to get those final laps in.
They certainly will. We'll try and cover those final laps as best we can here. But as you say, Alan Aguilar currently has the best time on the board with a 1:15.3, fairly significantly quicker than the GT3s, who've already qualified, by the way. Just give you the pole sitters from both of those. Jed Cotterman has actually gone fastest of any GT3. We've double-checked. He is definitely a Pro-Am, according to our data and according to what we've been sent. And he... is probably going to be reviewed, to be honest, as to whether he's a pro or indeed he'll be put to pro for tonight retrospectively. I don't know if that's even possible, but anyway, he set the best time overall, only 9,000ths of a second to be fair, over Matt Miles, who's the best of the pro drivers. Best of the rest in Pro-Am is Zach Shepard, but even he's only about 9 tenths off of the best time overall in GT3, so that is not bad at all. I think the key really is maybe less going to be qualifying, although qualifying is going to be quite key, I think, with overtaking maybe a bit more difficult round here than at some of the other venues we've got this season. The traffic management is really going to be the thing here for me. This has not been in the history of the Bitepoint Sportscar Challenge, has not been historically for very long anyway a multi-class series with LMP2s and GT3s. Laguna Seca is quite a baptism of fire for this whole field really to sort of navigate.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, we're talking about the technicalities of it and letting those LMPs stretch their legs, and they've been put in a bit of a claustrophobic situation, especially for the GT3s that will be fighting with each other alongside the Pro and Pro-Am classes, and they've obviously got to manage the traffic of that slightly faster class. But Santa Maria, just in the final moments of qualifying here with 3 minutes left, manages to top that LMP2 board with a 1:15 flat. So a good 3 tenths ahead now of Aguilar, and that is definitely going to put him in quite a bit of a confidence spot. Negrete is also out right now, as well as Hendricks for the LMPs, trying to get those couple final lap times in. As Ewan already mentioned, the GT3s are officially finished. They have reached their full lap time quota that they've got available in this 30-minute qualifying session. So all that we've got left now is our big boy LMP3s. The Delara is going around track for around about 2 or so minutes. LMP2, sorry, going around for around about 2 minutes or so left. And I'm not too sure if anyone is going to be able to top that time from Santa Maria. We'll also have a bit of a track guide for you in a couple of minutes just to review how this track is going to look. We've obviously got a couple of very iconic corners, such as the Andretti hairpin and what you can see on your screen right now, the inaugural Corkscrew, that if you do take that wrong, that could be you ending up in the sand without you even noticing because of how blind it is. So if you have ever raced Laguna, you'll know that pain, but the drivers over here very experienced at the Bitepoint Racing League. And like Ewan already mentioned, what a great track to start us off on this multi-class league. I mean, just a fantastic track in terms of technicality and traffic management. It really is going to test our drivers here as to how they have to race.
Yeah, it will. As that might be a quick time from Hendricks. No, it's not. Or it's not any quicker anyway. From fourth position, which he currently holds. Brennan Herzing was going quick early in the lap, but no improvement there. Look at the lack of personal bests or purple sectors down the bottom of your screen, by the way, as the end of the session nears. Mauro Santamaria is about to come across the line again, as one very close to a personal best lap time. And yeah, he's coming into the... Oh, he's on an out lap, sorry, that'll be why. He's starting a new lap time just at the very end here with less than a minute to go. Alan Aguilar is into pit lane, so won't be going any faster than the current pole sitter. Justin Negret is in third place. Oh, and Hendricks goes for a spin. There's one of the difficult corners of the day. Turn 6. Not very many long straights here, but the ones there are, you've got to get the entrance onto them correct. And that's one of the ways you can just push yourself over the edge there by trying too hard, really, through turn 6.
Yeah, turn 6, the start of Rahal straight over there. And if you have ever raced this track, you'll know that curb can be the epitome of this racetrack, especially if you do tackle it wrong. Also, depending on car choice, some cars having different ride height, like the GT3s will maybe be able to manage that curb if they take it right. But unfortunately, the LMP2s, the street sweepers being so low in terms of ride height, they tackle that curb and the front bumper decides, I no longer want to be a part of this racetrack. And that's unfortunately what we've just seen happen to one of the LMP2 cars. But for the time being, we did see Mendoza was outdone in 7th trying to get a better lap time in, but he has decided, I think, to pull the car in. And qualifying has officially reached its 30-minute extended time. And it looks like Mauro Santamaria comfortably up in P1 with 0.3 of a gap. The likes of Scott Maury still out there. Unfortunately, it was a slight improvement in terms of his time in a couple of sectors. A couple of yellows to represent no improvement that you can see at the bottom of your screen. And so if you see any green pillar tiles at the bottom, that does represent a better sector time. And if you see any purples, it represents a faster sector time. But unfortunately, like Ewan has been mentioning, most of which has been yellow for tonight's racing, which represents no improvement to the personal best. As you can see now with Brian Scott, the last LMP2 out on track, it's all yellow for him currently. So there isn't going to be any form of improvement in this lap time from his 1:16 flat. We'll have to see if he can maybe do something at the start of the race. But for the time being, it looks like 9th is going to have it be what he has to settle for at the start of this race.
Over the line for the final time. Yeah, that will be settling with 9th for Brian Scott. So the 15 LMP2 drivers have all got onto the board. Nobody not setting a lap time, which looked like it might happen actually at one stage where drivers are not actually getting their times in. We do have one driver in the field in the 36 who hasn't set a time. Kenny Campos in the Porsche couldn't get a time in, although he did do 5 laps, which makes me remain confident that he will at least start the race, which would be good for this race and this opening round of the season. I'll quickly, before we run through the track map and everything to clean up before we start this race, I will just run through the rest of the schedule that we've got this season. We are off actually next week. I know we've started only this week, but the Daytona 24 will be kicking off in about 9 hours time from now next week. Is it? Something like that.
Yep.
So, yeah, they're having a week off next week for that. Long Beach, though, will be our return. Another tight and twisty circuit to start off with. Then the Mexican circuit that's just been brought in, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, which will be on January 30th. A week later will be at Road America for the first of 2 90-minute races. That's followed by Indianapolis. Then our only trip to Canada, which is a week after a week off there on February the 20th. We'll be back on February 27th with the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Interlagos is the fourth last round, on March 6th ahead of the final 1.5 hour race at Virginia. Then it's Road Atlanta, a week off before the finale at Sebring, after the Sebring 12-hour, I think. That's the weekend after the Sebring 12-hour. So that's also why we've got a weekend off there as well, and we'll be returning there again. Let's hope people aren't too sick of the circuit, because we're going there again for our finale at the very last round of the season. As I say, though, Tristan, we're starting off with a very, very technical and twisty circuit for round number 1.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, it's also a track that's a little bit punishing on the outsides. We'll have a look at the track map now. I mean, we're not looking at much grass here at Laguna Seca. It's in the hot side of California. And so we've got lots and lots of sand and gravel on the outside that the drivers really do have to watch out for. Because if you do catch that, it's a massive slowdown to what that car can do. But here we go, looking at Laguna Seca from the aerial view up in a slightly hillier area here at the likes of California. I mean, you can see the huge amount of gradient near Corkscrew on the left-hand side of your screen. There's also a slight gradient going down towards Andretti Hairpin, and that's going to be your first technical corner in this racetrack. Obviously, corner 1 is that slight curve, but Andretti Hairpin is going to be turn number 2, but it's going to be an inaugural braking point for all of our cars, especially in this multi-class race. It's quite a heavy downhill braking zone, and the drivers do have to be careful with how they manage. Thankfully, there's no grass to cut them off there. Then we head through after Andretti Hairpin to turn number 3, 4, 5, and 6, which we did see one of the cars, unfortunately, hooking that slight curb. And then we head to the Rahal Straight, all the way on the backside. The one of 2 slightly smaller straights here at Laguna Seca. Like we mentioned, Laguna not being famous here for its straights, but more its complicated corners. After Rahal Straight, we head into the inaugural Corkscrew, corner 7, 8, and 8A. Downhill all the way down towards Rainy Curve. And this also proves a couple of overtaking opportunities down towards that final corner of turn number 11. If cars can get their grips in and try and make a lunge down on the inside, obviously Corkscrew, you also need to watch your traction and watch for sand on the track. That does sometimes happen if cars do not take the corner right. And after turn number 11, all the way back to our main straight, which isn't named, but it is technically turn 11 to turn number 1, which you can see at the bottom of your screen, connecting sector 3 and sector number 1. But I think we're in for quite an interesting race here today, especially with that multi-class action. Like we've already spoken about, a technical circuit. I mean, you can see it now from the aerial view that we don't have much opportunity in straights here. So it's all going to be coming down to how good the drivers can manage their braking, because it's going to be last on the brakes, can make that dive up on the inside to get an overtake made.
Yeah, and you've got to be sort of brisk with that. You can't wait around, but also smart with that as well, and trying to balance those two things. Very, very difficult to do indeed, and we'll just get a view on board here as to what that's like for the GT3 point of view, as one of the LMP2's races around the outside of us on the run down towards turn 1 here. But yeah, it's a very, very sandy part of the world. Just for those of you who can't locate it quite, I know that, well, my American geography is pretty bad, but if you say it's just south of San Francisco, that makes sense. Well, it makes sense to me anyway, so there you go. That's the sort of part of the world we're looking at, right on the west coast, as it were. And not actually that far from the sea. You're not likely to crash into the sea, but, you know, it's not that far away. So there you go. But that's it's not Zandvoort, as Jim's saying in area. It is, though, sort of sand duney like Zandvoort is. They're not sand dunes, of course, but they are hilly. It is a hilly racetrack. And we keep mentioning the Corkscrew. Sometimes when we as broadcasters, we do a lot of racing at Laguna Seca. You can sort of be normalised to the Corkscrew, but you've still got to remember it's an extraordinary set of corners that would never pop up these days. But while we have them on this layout, I mean, it's just a ridiculous set of corners. You can't actually see what you're braking for by the time you hit the brakes, and it's so steep downhill. Nothing quite like it in motorsport, and it really gives this circuit sort of its character. It's what everybody thinks about when they think about Laguna Seca.
Yeah, and you see it a lot, especially if you ever do run any form of endurance racing at Laguna. A couple of hours into the race, when drivers do start to wear off a bit, the vision starts to become slightly blurrier, and a little bit of the tiredness starts to kick in. That Corkscrew slowly, I mean, obviously it becomes quite repetitive after doing so many laps, but one foul mistake on that Corkscrew, turning in slightly too early, will grant you a little bit of gravel on the inside, and turning in too late will cause you to lose traction on the outside with all the debris. And we have seen that quite often in every single class of racing that's done at Laguna Seca. And it does prove to be quite interesting because it leaves a lot of debris on that corner. And so all drivers then have to watch out. But we have officially reached the race start, and Ewan's going to take you away for that grid. And I mean, I cannot wait to see these cars take it down towards Andretti Hairpin.
Yeah, we'll be off and away for the formation lap in just a moment. So we'll, in a moment, give you that starting grid here for all 36 drivers who are ready to start here tonight. The opening round of the Roasted Record Bitepoint Sportscar Challenge here from Laguna Seca. As we ride on board with the pace car, you see that front row in front of you. On the right-hand side, Mauro Santa Maria and Alan Aguilar alongside, who were fighting for pole in that qualifying session just now. On row 2, just behind them, it's Justin Negrete, who's also not that far away, and Edwin Hendricks, who is just in behind in 4th position. 5th place for David Turnbull, our first I think he's New Zealand, actually, looking at that flag. I can't quite see whether it's red or white dots, though. It's Adrian Puebla alongside. Roderick Mendoza and Scott Mowry will share then row 4. And the first All-American row, Brian Scott and Blake Ward rounding out the top 10. Just outside of that top 10 is Justin Bock, who is on the inside of Harrison Holiday. You can see those two there. Just 2 more rows to go. Oh, sorry, just 1 more row, rather, of full LMP2s. That's just Joseph Dupont and Jacob Sheridan. And at the back on the row on his own is Brannon Herzing in 15th. Ahead of the GT3 pole sitter, Jed Cotterman, a Pro-Am driver who will be seriously moved or thinking about moved up to Pro. Matt Miles and Michael Anderson, then the first of the proper pros, then on row 9 overall. Then to round out the top 20, Sebastian Trujillo, it was supposed to be, but he's not actually on the grid at the moment. Zach Houston is at the moment, so that's one non-starter already. Francis Crosby and Zach Shepard then are on row 11, just in behind, and then that is Shepard rather in the second of the Pro-Am positions. Timothy Schaefer and John Bostwick then share row 12 with Jeremiah Cohn and Aaron Sanford on row 13. Then you get to another one of those who hasn't gridded up properly. Austin Schildhauser is not on the grid at the moment. David Volpe is, though, and will be on row 14 alone. I like that livery for Schildhauser, by the way. Jordan Butler is alongside Jordan Cox for the rest of the top 30. And then another non-starter, Jason Holland, unfortunately. Blake Peyton Poll is on the other side of the grid in 32nd, and at the back of the field, another non-starter at the moment, Patrick Rich and Charlie Crow, who is a starter. Anthony Wells is not, though. Kenny Campos is not on the other side. David Turnbull also seems to have been faded out, so he may not start either. Let's hope they all do get onto the grid at least, or at least rejoin, having started from the pit lane. But we have got a couple of non-starters, it appears to be, from the timing tower anyway. Maybe some of them have gotten into the session anyway. We'll see. We'll see a couple of drivers off circuit as well. I don't know whether some kerfuffle's happening in GT3. But anyway, we're about to start a new season in the Roasted Record Bitepoint Sports Car Challenge here from Laguna Seca. 50 minutes of racing to open out the season is underway, and Mauro Santa Maria gets off to a great start in front of Alan Aguilar and Edwin Hendricks, who are fighting wheel to wheel down in towards turn number 1 for the very first time. Santa Maria is going to hold on to the lead, and they slow immediately. The yellow flags seem to be out. I wonder whether we've had an aborted start here and a safety car straight away, because the field is slowing even as they were making their way around the hairpin for the very first time.
Yep, and there we see our pace car coming straight out of the pit lane. And, you won't see it in most series where the pace car is actually active, but in a multi-class race like this, we've always got to have that safety out on track of the pace car. So pulling out yet again. So I wonder what has actually happened in the starter of a lap. It didn't look too bad from the LMPs there. Down towards Andretti Hairpin. I didn't really see anybody to go off. I did see one driver unfortunately blipping in terms of network. Not too sure if that could have possibly triggered our pace car coming back out. But quite a bit of a gap that was existing between the GT3s and the LMPs has completely been eradicated. You can now see the likes of Jed Cotterman now right on the backside of that number 15 in terms of position, number 96 of Brannon Herzing. And so that's completely eliminated it. But as you can see now, it is going to start to branch out as the GT3 slow down for that pace car. And the LMPs are going to try and catch back up to that pace. So, yeah, I'm not too sure what happened there at the start. Rather unfortunate, though, at the start of the race. A couple of drivers were really hoping to get a great pull-off. And now they have unfortunately had to resort to wait it out and sit behind the pace car at a certain speed limit. So maybe it's all going to come down to that pull in terms of how the drivers manage to get away from that pace car once it pulls in.
Is this a replay or is this live? They're forming up 2 by 2 here, the GT3s. This is live pictures, and I'm not sure why they're doing this, really. They're behind the pace car. This is on board with the pace car. So I'm not entirely sure what's happening here, if I'm honest with it. The pace cars in front of the GT3s, who are not the leaders, but they are forming up 2 by 2 behind it anyway. Now, is it going to come into the pit lane maybe here? And no,
Nope.
it isn't. So now they're going to be even more confused, and so am I, actually. So, well, we'll have to try and work this one out. I have seen in the past it was actually an oval race where the pace car effectively picked up the wrong car, and it took the entire caution for the field to work out what actually was happening. And they didn't actually even really get formed up properly before they went to a restart. So I hope we're not about to see that. But you can see around the other side of the circuit, the LMP2s are racing to try and catch up to the pace car here, because they are the leaders after all, and they're the ones who need to be at the front of the queue. For whatever reason, these GT3s are not being allowed past at the moment, for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's a bit odd. I wonder now if the LMPs are going to get a lap up on the GT3s, because they've completely gone around. Whereas, as you say, the pace cars decided to sit right up in front of Cotterman. And so you can see on the track map, I mean, the entire blue snake of the LMPs are now trying to catch up. And they've now got to try and get past all of the GT3s during this safety car lap. And very odd thing to see. I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't actually seen this yet before in a multi-class race with LMP2s and GT3s. And it does make it a bit complicated. As you mentioned, it's going to confuse the drivers quite a bit as to what is actually happening. Why is the pace car stuck ahead of the GT3s, and why on earth is it not ahead of the LMPs? Because they're now an entire technical lap ahead. I don't know if the platform is going to register that as an entire lap ahead, or if it's just going to nullify that lap where they had to catch up. As you can see, they're actually at the back of the queue. I wonder if they are overtaking. If we can go to that first car of the LMPs, he doesn't look like he's actually trying to overtake the GT3 cars on the track map. So I'm a little bit confused as to what's happening here right now, because the blue snake is lined up behind the GT3s.
They're not going to release them like this, surely. I mean, it would be absolute chaos. Complete and... Oh, no, careful. Oh, dear. You just knew it was going to happen, didn't you?
There's compression.
You could have seen that from space. I mean, that was just going to happen, wasn't it? They were all coming up to the back of the GT3 field at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and we've got a meatball. That is a shame for Harrison Holiday, but it was going to happen to somebody, wasn't it? That was not great, unfortunately. The pace car is not helping us out here at all. I don't know entirely who's driving it or indeed what they're doing, but anyway, I think it's still in front of the field as things stand. Anyway, we'll try and find out. We're trying to keep an eye on everything here at once. I think the LMP2s are now doing, as you said, passing the GT3s. Here we go. So this is what we were expecting. I don't know why they're doing this, by the way. I don't know why the GT3s weren't just let past the pace car. But anyway, the LMP2s are now doing exactly as you were saying. Or have they come into... No, they haven't come into pit lane, otherwise it would show that. On the left-hand side, they're just letting it all happen here. So... They've managed to get the LMP2s in front of the GT3s, and the lights are off on top of the pace car. So hopefully we'll be able to start the season now properly, having gotten all the LMP2s up to the front here with minimal trouble. But it's been a bizarre start to this season, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's an unfortunate one for Scott and Holiday, because at the start of this race, the LMP class pulled off neatly away, and obviously they started with quite a bit of a gap ahead of the GT3s. And now, due to that little bit of a muck-up with the pace car, they're now in the pit lane having to get repairs done. I mean, you can see it on the track map, the two slightly grayed out cars in the pit lane. And I mean, they're going to have to catch up on the entire GT3 grid and then try and catch up on their own grid. And in a 50-minute race, if you have watched LMP2 racing, they're usually in an endurance environment with slightly longer racing. And now with a 50-minute race, it's not going to be a lot of time for these two to catch up. And I have a feeling, unfortunately, their race is somewhat over. And not to talk about it, the Rahal Strait is now covered in Christmas lights, as we can see it. I mean, there's just sand all over the place. And so that's going to cause a slight bit of debris stick to those tires, especially when they get nice and hot and sticky. And so the drivers will have to watch out not to lose a bit of traction there. That sand will oppose a bit of the traction points on those tires. But thankfully, it's not scattered too much. It's in a couple of areas there on the Rahal Strait, but they do have a clean amount of track after that to try and get rid of all of that sand. But it looks like we are officially getting ready to go. Like you had mentioned, the pace car lights are officially off, so it will be pulling into the pit lane this lap. And we can see the LMP leader there of Santa Maria is indeed ready to take this charge. Why is the safety car not pulling into the pit lane? He's staying out yet again. I'm very confused with this race. I mean, what an eventful start to Bitepoint.
Who's in this pace car? Who's driving it? Someone pull him out of the car. Goodness me. Continuing to...
Jim, that makes sense.
Oh, goodness me. Well, it's... yeah. Yeah, it's probably to allow House and Holiday to catch up to the field and pass the GT3s before we get back going again in a moment. But instead of making him pass the whole field. Unfortunately, we have actually lost an LMP2 as a result of that crash. Brian Scott seems to be out of the race completely as a result of that incident there, which is a real shame to see a driver lost to that effectively, lost really before any racing has actually happened, which is, as I say, a real shame. Hopefully the rest of them have pretty much stayed in. There have been a couple of non-starters towards the back, but everybody else is at least still in the race in GT3, and it rather feels like we're sort of gearing up for the start of the race. Hopefully it actually happens this time around and the pace car pulls in.
Yeah, definitely. That would be a good thing to watch. In a 50-minute race, we've already lost over 8 minutes. I mean, it's almost an entire fifth of this race, unfortunately, wasted behind the pace car. And it does indeed look like the 14th position of Holiday has pulled in. Scott is unfortunately out and doesn't look like he's going to be coming back. So the slightly reduced grid now, 14 cars for that LMP class. And here they head on Rahal straight towards Corkscrew. Let's hope that pace car does indeed pull into the pit lane. If he does stay out, it's definitely Jim in the car, because then something isn't right. And so let's hope it isn't, because that would be yet another lap wasted under safety car conditions. But I can see the LMP2s warming up their tires. Santa Maria left and right squabbling, trying to get that scrubbing nicely done. And you'll probably be doing a little bit of brake dragging so that the Andretti hairpin downpour isn't going to be too hard on the brakes. Obviously, they've been driving quite slow. Things have been getting a little bit cold now for the past 3 or 4 laps under the pace car, and it does indeed pull into the pit lane. I also thought it was staying out. Thank goodness it didn't.
I thought it was. I really did. Anyway, 9 minutes complete, and we can now get underway here. Oh, a bit of a hold there from Santa Maria as well, which maybe just caught a couple off guard. In fact, it caught Hendricks off guard. And here comes Adrian Puebla in towards turn number 1 in the Andretti hairpin for the first time here at racing speed. Defence from Hendricks is enough, though, and he holds on to that third position. Look at them stream down in towards turn 1 for the very first time. The GT3s have waited an age here. They've left a very big gap. Hopefully they're allowed to do that within the rules after a safety car. I know that they are for a race start, but I'm not entirely sure whether the same rules apply on a safety car restart. Either way, Cotterman leads the field in towards turn 1 as well, and that leads the field nicely. So all 3 pole sitters now, as Anderson holds on to that, or at least all 3 who were at the front on that restart, I should say, in their respective classes, have all held on to their leads as well. Although Santa Maria, to be fair, at the very front of the field is under quite a lot of pressure for that lead.
Yeah, I mean, talking about it from what we saw at the LMP2s in the pace car situation, they have actually now lapped the entire GT3 grid. They're all 1 lap ahead of the GT3 Pro and Pro-Ams. And so it's not going to play too much as an effect. Oh, as the Porsche goes slightly wide, that's a quick position overtake there by one of the drivers. I believe that was Zach Houston who went off there, and that was a quick overtake for Sebastian Trujillo. Very neatly up in towards the Rahal straight. He had another overtake, though. The LMP class is starting to get quite dicey. Roderick Mendoza loses out hugely. He's into the sand now, and that's multiple positions lost due to a slight error on the exit. And I did mention it during qualifying. This sand is absolutely punishing. It's like a mom holding her child back like a helicopter mom, unfortunately withdrawing completely there. The LMP2 loses all forms of speed, and Roderick Mendoza losing quite a lot of positions. I can see some action, though, in the GT3 Prime classes. A couple of things are happening. Guilla also making some changes, but I mean, so much going on around track now.
Yeah, there is a lot going on out there on the circuit at the moment. There was a lead change as well in GT3 Pro. You can see it here. Sebastian Trujillo getting that position rather in second ahead of Anderson, who also lost the lead there to Matt Miles, who's leading this race again. Pole sitter in the GT3 Pro class, now leader again after losing it on the initial start of this race. I'm not entirely sure how he managed it because it was so short, that initial run.
Oh, that Mustang sideways.
Yeah, further up front, Alan Aguilar has lost that second position and lost a whole lot more. He's now down into 13th position. There he is, just in front of Jacob Sheridan there. What a disastrous start that is for Aguilar there, who, as I say, down to 13th place from second place.
Yeah, David Volp in the GT3 Pro-Am class. We just saw as the camera cut there, he lost traction on his Ford Mustang. And he lost well over 8 positions. Oh, again, getting dicey with these LMP2s, pushing each other off around track over here. But as we move over to David Turnbull up in front, this is down towards the Andretti hairpin, and you can see it side by side now between the two. It's David Turnbull, Andre Puebla, as they try and fight for the position. Blake Ward is also involved just a little bit further behind. And the train is definitely still alive here in the LMP2 class. Loads of changes out on track. We're having to try and keep our eyes peeled here on the live timings tower because of the triple class racing over here. And it seems like all three are trying to provide us everything all at once. As we can see, yet another move. Oh, it's almost it is going to be contact, and it is almost a loss there. Great save from Blake Ward, though, as he almost makes contact on the back of Justin Block. He does lose a position, though, going into the Rahal straight there.
Yeah, you really had to have fast reactions there just to save the car from spinning all the way round, but he gets away with it. Mendoza loses places meantime. Oh, he might be off down the bottom of the hill there. You can't see him, but he is off. Oh, and there's another one off there through the corkscrew. I'm not entirely sure who that is at the moment either. That looks Blake Ward, maybe. Is it Blake Ward after that great save? It was indeed. After that great save a few moments ago, he's now gone for a spin through the corkscrew. All this before we've even caught lap traffic, which is surely coming in the next couple of laps.
Yeah, we're seeing the technicalities of Laguna really start to shine, especially with the LMP2s. The GT3s are a common feature here at Laguna, as we see Jed Cotterman. Nice camera angle down there. You can see the focus trying to keep his lead there in the GT3 Pro-Am class. I think there's a bit of guilt in his face as well there. He knows he should be in Pro, but it's okay. He can keep going for Laguna Seca as he pushes on strong. But the LMP2s are really struggling here. I mean, we've seen so much contact and action here. But lead change here for the LMP2s. Edwin Hendricks fighting with Santa Maria as well for second, not for the lead, but it's between Negrete and Hendricks as they head towards the Rahal straight over here. And I mean, like I mentioned, just so much going on between the LMP2 class. We saw the action there through Corkscrew. Unfortunately, we did call it earlier on that there might be something going on, and it did indeed happen. One car makes one mistake, and the rest, unfortunately, follow in the same pattern. And so now you can see the blue snake is no longer a blue snake. It's been chopped up for some sushi all over that map right now. And the rest of the cars still just trying to make their way again. Corkscrew action. Oh, my goodness.
How did they get away with that? I'm not entirely sure. 4 of them involved, and Harrison Holliday's one of them, by the way, who has already been into the pit lane and used 52 seconds worth of the pit lane as well. So might be well placed later to run deep into the race. But anyway, that was the least of his worries when he smashed into the back of somebody under the safety car. They're a little bit wide. Goes Holliday and drops back to 12th place. So was up to 10th for a brief moment, but Sheridan and Herzing get straight back through as he goes wide through the final corner. It's all happening here in LMP2, and again, this is before traffic. To be fair, the GT3s are spread out quite a lot, but there are some clumps like this one. Oh, big fight and contact indeed. Look at that McLaren shaping on the outside line there. Jason Holland up into 4th position. Can he seal the deal now? With Bostwick alongside? Maybe. Off the circuit? No. Sorry, it was John Bostwick. Rather, it was Holland who was doing the defending. That was nearly an unbelievable run round the outside, and he nearly got 3 in 1. Unfortunately, he's ended up with no positions.
Yeah, that was almost some insane class racing there from the GT3 Prime driver of John Bostwick. I mean, he almost took an entire sweep around the outside. Very unfortunate, though. I mean, Jason Holland had an entire flight rig, a Boeing 737 of a McLaren down there, but he keeps on going down towards Andretti hairpin. I mean, he's got all of his telemetry. I mean, he can literally see the driver behind, in front. It's always great to have such a rig at home. And but I mean, so much action around track. And as you mentioned, that traffic management, the first place driver of Santa Maria has officially caught onto the backside now of the GT3 drivers. As we can see it on the track map, the rest will also start to follow. But this is the current fight. Harrison Holliday currently trying to fight onto the backside of Brandon Herzig. And here comes the dive into Andretti hairpin. He does go slightly wider. Will Holliday be able to hold the inside line? Indeed, it looks like he might be able to. We'll get another camera angle there. There's one of the GT3 cars already being overtaken yet again. But Holliday, great around the outside there into turn number 3. And it looks like he's going to be able to hold it now from Herzig. Continuing to push on strong towards Jacob Sheridan up in front. And Holliday had a bit of an event, has had quite an eventful start to this race. We did see him in the pit lane, but thankfully for the time being, he has managed to recover it slightly.
Acura there was determined to get onto the racing line again, which I suppose they're entitled to do there, but Blake Ward and also Herzing, Brandon Herzing just in front, won't have been too pleased about it. Now they'll slip through on the run towards the corkscrew, one of the few chances, really. A few reprieves you can get. Santa Maria has certainly lost some of his lead with this early bit of traffic, though. The gap was dipping below 3 seconds, actually, and it now will dip below 3 seconds again as they come across the start-finish line, as traffic properly underway here this season, which is what this series is going to be all about here, and possibly this race is going to be all about here tonight. There's Justin Negret with really the worst thing you can see in front of you. That's 2 GT3s going side by side. He's going to have to dice his way through as well. He's certainly lost out in this because Hendricks is now a second and a half further up from him from a battle those two were having a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, the traffic management is definitely going to be highlighted as of now. We didn't see it much in the beginning of the race, but the LMP2 class has indeed caught well into that GT3 pack, specifically into the Pro-Am pack. We can still see a couple of the pros in the GT3 have not been caught up just as of yet. And there's going to be a couple of complicated spots where the LMPs do have to watch out for overtaking. You know, you've heard the chronicle stories of the LMP2 traffic management where the GT3s do get quite annoyed with them in terms of where they choose to overtake, especially if it has to be somewhere like turn number 6 or into the Corkscrew. But a little bit of fighting going on right now in the GT3s. Matt Miles still trying to close in now on Connerman to take the lead, which he should be in the pro class, but Connerman with an insane amount of speed there in that GT3 Pro-Am class, and he's really starting to show that confidence up ahead. I mean, we saw his rig shot a couple of laps earlier, and he is so confident there. You can see it. He's so relaxed, even though he's got, you know, that big Mercedes-Benz in the rear side trying to get past, and he's really starting to get close now, and he'll have to watch out for a strike in the next coming laps.
Yeah, this is going to be real sort of mirror action, if you like, for Cotterman at the front of the field. He'll be looking over his shoulder quite a lot here. It's only Miles just behind, though. Trio and Houston are actually fighting quite hard there for second place in the pro class, which is just allowing Miles to get away from them. There they are. I think that's a lap car between them. It is indeed a Pro-Am lapped car. That is Timothy Schaefer at the moment, who is between them in the Aston Martin. And here, meantime, comes Houston. No, he's not going to have a dive down the inside at the final corner there. And Cotterman has indeed been overtaken by Miles. So we do have a lead change in GT3 overall. But if we're going to presume that Cotterman might get moved up here into a pro, then this is the sort of battle we've got to look forward to between these two later this season.
Yeah, we just saw their Turnbull LMP2 getting the yellow flag there for a slowdown. So obviously exceeding track limits a little bit. But thankfully, he's managed to serve it quite quickly and continue to push. But yeah, like our producer says, very easy to do here. Very easy to put 1 foot outside the grass. This is where it's going to get tight, though. The LMP is trying to get past all of our GT3s. We see Zach Shepard pulling into the pit lane now. Not too sure if there is a mandatory stop for this race and he's deciding to go for an undercut, or if there's something wrong with that Ford Mustang that he's needing to go and change. But now we can see Holiday trying to chase down. We should have a pit stop, so maybe that could be an undercut strategy. But Holiday well ahead now, just behind him. Blake Ward trying to chase on behind him. But Holiday does have a little bit of traffic. The Porsche up ahead, one of the GT3 drivers. Thankfully, he's managing to get past it quite swiftly. But oh, it looks like Blake Ward actually gets stuck on that GT3 on the inside line. And the Holiday will have a little bit of time now to extend his wings and try get by. And this is where the traffic management comes for the LMP2s and where they can try and find a couple of tenths between the driver behind. We have seen it already with Santa Maria. He is 5 seconds ahead of the rest of the LMP2 grid just due to his traffic management. And I mean, it's great to see the drivers all starting to find their grips here. Joseph DuPont up in 8th position right now, trying to stay away from Alan Aguilar, but it's proving a little bit difficult to build the traffic up in front of him.
Aguilar's, oh, that's very wide for DuPont, and too wide. Oh, careful. And straight through goes Alan Aguilar. So that's a good overtake up to 8th after the trouble we saw earlier on for a driver who was running in second place at best earlier on in this race. Indeed qualified in second place on the outside of that front row. This race, this first race of the season, very much about just battling back really from that trouble here in this race today. Approaching halfway now, not too far away as we go back to GT3, where Cone is not too far behind that Porsche just in front, which is currently being driven by Jordan Cox, who's made up 4 places and where he qualified in 8th place in the Pro-Am class. It's getting closer between these two as well. So far, just constant racing up and down the field.
constant racing indeed. I mean, we can see the biggest movers down there. Tyler Crow, 12 positions gained so far this race. I mean, that is a phenomenal amount of traffic management and also just avoiding all the issues we've had. Jordan Butler, 8 positions up. Aaron Sanford got 6, and then Jordan Cox and Anthony Wells also 6. So lots and lots of drivers really benefiting. A couple, unfortunately, not benefiting. Michael Anderson down 5 positions. And so that's where these changes are coming. But we do have quite a lot of action going around, mostly in our LMP2 class. We do also have it a bit in our GT3 Pros. Tyler Crow has got quite a bit of a train behind him, down in 6th position for the GT3 Pros, as he's got Michael Anderson and the likes of, actually that's changed now. He was behind, but looks like not anymore. Zach Houston right behind Trujillo now for that 2nd position in the GT3 Pro class. And also up in our LMP2 class, Adrian Puebla right on the backside of Scott Mowry, and Justin Negrete on the backside of Edmund Hendricks. So lots and lots of drivers starting to get right behind each other. We could potentially see some position changes, but we are about to reach the halfway mark of this race in the next 2 or so minutes. Oh, bit of a mistake there from Zach Houston. He does catch it. I mean, that's a good thing, right? Coming out of turn number 6, if you can catch it, then at least nothing bad goes wrong there. But that was with trying to get that LMP going past them through turn number 6. Thankfully, nothing comes from that. But Tyler Crow loses one of those positions he's gained, and he'll keep on trying to push. But Jack Houston, now just behind that LMP2 car, will keep on trying to push on.
Oof, I'll look down the inside there. I'm just in. From Aguilar and Bock, who's been sent around by Alan Aguilar. And that might well be a redress of positions from Aguilar, is it? Or is he just going to carry on? He's lost his position to DuPont again, so it's 1 step forward, 1 step back. But Justin Bock, I think, from that initial viewing, has a right to be a little bit aggrieved at that one. That was faster driver coming through the field, trying to come through the field, and has got into the back of Justin Bock here, into the Corkscrew. See it again here. He's spinning himself, actually, as Justin Bock. Maybe there was a spin there before there was contact.
Yeah, it did look like Bock slightly lost it onto the entrance into Corkscrew, and Aguilar had nowhere to run other than the rear bumper side of Bock. But, actually, no, there was indeed contact. A little bit of a tap coming in, and I think Aguilar just braking slightly later than Bock. And in these cars with the downforce and ride height levels, a little tap like that completely sends the car off its normal traction zone, and very unfortunate for Justin Bock. But now here he is again, fighting on the backside of Jacob Sheridan, trying to get his positions back up. And I got to say, he's got one of the coolest liveries. It's that chromatic purple and gold looking car. And I mean, you can see the whole backside is completely silver. It looks like a premium edition, like the Forza editions in Forza Motorsport and Forza games. And very, very nice livery indeed. We've seen a couple of others as well in the GT3 class, as well as the LMP class. And I always say this, but I wish every league had a livery battle. Not all of them do it, but I still feel like, liveries do take a long time to make for some of these drivers, especially if it's been made by a team or somebody else. But still, nonetheless, it's great to see all the liveries out. David Volp deciding to go completely white and focus on the racing and not the livery action, but he will still continue to push on strong. We did see him spin slightly earlier on in this race, and looks like he has managed to somewhat recover it. He is up in 6th, and he's actually a position up from the start of this race. So good recovery there for himself. There is a bit of position changing going up in the LMP2 class. Blake Ward right on the backside of Justin Block, and we can see it getting quite hectic up on top. And this is Justin Block now just getting past the likes Justin Block, and Blake Ward on the backside of him, and then he's obviously chasing onto the backside of Jacob Sheridan. So we might see a bit of a position change in these in the battle for 9th right now, but keep your eyes peeled for that one. We've also then obviously got Justin Negrete up at the top, but that gap is slowly extending away from Edwin Hendricks. So for the time being, in the next 25 minutes, we will have a bit of a gap in between the cars as they start to circulate the track differently. But obviously, once the LMP2s catch up again, then we'll start to see a bit of racing action.
Yep, we certainly will do. Which we really have done for this first half of this race all the way through. Fastest lap of the race, by the way, has gone to Blake Ward in the last couple of moments. 16.2 is the best of anybody. There's the fastest 5 right now. Alan Aguilar, the best lap times as things stand. There's overall fastest. Blake Ward currently fastest, only just though in front of Alan Aguilar, with a new set of times coming through there. Ward about half a second away from them on the brakes, with just 2 LMP2s in front for 9th and 10th positions. Sheridan and Bock just in front. And this is the mid part of the race, and actually Sanford from 2nd in G3 Pro Am's coming in Just wonder whether this is the stage in the race now where all these drivers are going to start to think about pit stops in a sense of how they're going to get past the driver in front of them and not just clearing the fuel that they need to take.
Aaron Sanford coming into the pit, but taking tyres. So I'm not too sure if that's going to be the general choice for the GT3 class, or if maybe he's had a bit of a moment through this race and his tyres are just completely worn out with all the sand. So yeah, the sand will definitely eat the tyres up, especially because of how hot it is here. The sun is beaming down on Laguna Seca, and that sand will stick to the tyres any day. And currently, Aaron Sanford, the only Lamborghini out there. We don't, I don't think it's the most commonly picked GT3 car. Even in other series I've done with the GT3s, you don't see it that often. And so it's good to see them out on track. It's practically the same as the Audi, the V10s at the back, but the big V10 boy of the Lamborghini Huracan Evo 2. And he comes out of the pit lane now just alongside a couple of the other drivers. But there we go, Mr. Matt Miles, just up in front, lapping him now for the first time. And so that's the GT3 Pro leader and overall leader of GT3 class. And so he'll come out just behind him, obviously not fighting for position. Justin Bach, though, still very much in contention. They've got a little bit of GT3 traffic now, and he has got a lot of pressure from Blake Ward from behind. They're obviously both trying to catch up with Jacob Sheridan, but with that GT3 traffic, it might be a little bit difficult. Here comes Blake Ward. He's had a much better exit around the side of that GT3 car, and looks like coming into the next corner, this is going to be a great overtake, but it's a late dive, and what a defensive block from Jason Bach, completely forcing Blake Ward into the backside of that Aston Martin, nowhere to run. And what great traffic management there from Bach to keep his lead. And Ward, unfortunately, has to settle for 11th, not getting past just this time.
No, he is probing, though, very much so. He's cut that on the inside quite a lot, and you can see the effects of it down the other side of the hill. Losing that rear end, and you actually run the risk of a slowdown through there if you're really over the inside, which you'd probably say that was. And a yellow flag. Another safety car seems to be out there on the racetrack. We'll try and see who's off. I can't see anybody at the moment. Only Aaron Sanford is in pit lane. He might have gone off in a big way, but I don't think so. Jack Houston for this replay. Is he doing anything particularly? I don't think so. So
doesn't look like it.
It's just the hairpin. He's going a bit slowly through. I'm not entirely sure what the safety car has been called for, but probably going to take another few minutes out this race, and there's going to be a very short dash to the finish when it's over this safety car.
Yeah, I mean, we're already at 30 minutes. We're well past the halfway mark, so 20 minutes left of racing. And depending on how long that pace car sits out, depending on how it plays its catch-up rules here, we might be seeing, there's a GT3 off in the background coming out of Rahal there, or coming into Rahal, sorry. Not too sure who that was, but the last time we saw the pace car out, obviously it was a little bit traumatic in terms of losing the first 10 minutes. I hope we don't lose the same duration of time, because if we do lose about 8 minutes, it means we've only got about 10 minutes left of racing here, which would be quite unfortunate in terms of time wasted for these drivers. So let's hope this pace car is a quick short-term thing and the drivers can get back out on track to fight for proper track position. Zach Houston in third, though. He's still trying to chase up in front to Sebastian Trujillo, obviously in the safety car. There will be no overtaking allowed, so his chances are quite slim for the time being, but on that safety car restart, he could possibly get a nice dive onto the inside.
That's exactly what he'll be looking for. Turnbull, by the way, in 6th place, is the winner of the last 3 LMP2 championships here, so it's clearly one of the fancied drivers. As Santa Maria slows down to let the pace car back past again. He wasn't supposed to go past it in the first place, I don't think. So, who's caught behind the yellow here? I actually think it's picked... Oh no, that's not the GT3 leader, is it, in that Mustang? Matt Miles is driving a Mercedes, so there are a few GT3s caught between the leader overall and their class leader, which might need rectifying before we actually begin racing again. Because otherwise, effectively, you get drivers losing a lap when it's not really their fault, and that is surely going to be rectified. We know that wave rounds are a thing in this series because we did get the LMP2s to the front in the previous restart, but yeah, this is also going to take some time to work out, and there's, I say, going to be very little time remaining in this race when it resumes. And of all the drivers in this field who would have not been hoping for a safety car, then I think Mauro Santamaria would have been right at the top of that list, because he had a nice lead beforehand and he's got to do another restart all over again here in a few moments.
Yeah, he had a 7-second gap at the start of that race. This could possibly be the cause of it. David Volp going slightly wide and then stopping on the corkscrew. But I definitely don't think that could trigger a safety car, not according to normal safety car standards. I genuinely feel like it was a little bit of a mistrigger if you have to ask me. I don't really think there was a proper reason for that safety car. There wasn't really a car stopped on track for a certain period of time from what we could see on the track map. So not too sure what could happen, but indeed we're seeing the good old strategies of safety car pitting. You lose a lot less time under safety car standards when you come in to get those tires and possible fuel added. So lots and lots of our cars, I mean, you can see all of those LMPs are practically being grayed out on the map as they come in to get those pit stops done. It's going to be the best chance for them to stay out ahead on track. I wonder if the GT3s are going to do the same. It looks like we've practically got almost an entire grid coming into that pit lane. A couple of the drivers going past who have probably already finished their pit stops, but I think that might be the entire LMP class who might be in that pit lane.
Yeah, it is the entire LMP2 field. Santa Maria gets out first, then it's Hendricks, and then a good stop from Scott Mowry to get up to third place ahead of Adrian Puebla. Justin Negret then is next. Quite a long stop from him. Alan Aguila is up to sixth ahead of Joseph Dupont. David Turnbull down to eighth. The longest stop of anybody there from Turnbull. And that is a change in LMP2, therefore. Matt Miles gets out there first in GT3 Pro, and Jed Codderman gets out there first in GT3 Pro Am. So it's as you were in GT3. In fact, all three leaders are the same. But there is a few changes below that. Now, how are they going to work out the rest of this field? Are they going to let anybody past the safety car? Where is the safety car is the next question. Some of them stayed out there to try and get their laps back, and that was the smart thing to do. Austin showed how it seems to be overtaking. Seems to be overtaking people again here. And yeah, race control are going to have their work out, just rectifying all this at the moment. There's at least three cars in between the overall leader and the pace car here, who could end up losing laps unfairly. I'm trying to work out who they are, to be honest. Could be Zach Shepard, Anthony Wells, could be two of them. Trying to work out who the other one might be. Blake Pietenpol, maybe? Yeah. So this is the problem, I think. Blake Pietenpol is not a lap down, as in hasn't been lapped by the leader of the class. Wells and Shepard have anyway. But Pietenpol hasn't. But effectively, he's almost a lap behind Cotterman now, because he's been caught by the pace car, but not by Cotterman, or indeed not by the overall leader, rather. And so it's effectively lost him a lap through no fault of his own, and that's a real shame, I think, to put him down. So effectively now we've only got 6 cars on the lead lap as in GT3 Pro-Am, as the LMP2s are let past. Look at all this. Pietenpol effectively has lost a lap through not really much fault of his own.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate in terms of safety car standards, and like we were speaking about, that also Duras, the safety car pulling in early, unfortunately doesn't look like it's going to happen for us. Looks like he's going to be here for a while. He's trying to sort out that grid. The blue snake of the LMP2s is once again fully formed, and they will be all together yet again reunited. But there are a couple of cars out there. I mean, you can see the number 8. That is Timothy Schaefer in the GT3 Pro-Am class. He is completely on the other side of this track. I mean, we can see him far away in his Aston Martin, also 6th of the likes of David Pulp, still needing to catch up with the rest of the pack. And like you mentioned, Pietenpol, very unfortunate there. He's now a complete lap down as no fault of his own. So I'm wondering now if the safety car is going to come in. I feel like Timothy Schaefer has to catch up with the pack before the safety car will come in, and I don't know if he's going to catch up by the end of this lap. He's only coming through the final corner now, and the pace car is already going through turn number 6 towards that back straight and towards Corkscrew. So I'm not too sure if he's going to catch up in time. We might see yet another lap of the safety car, and the safety car doing, I mean, I'd say roughly 2.5 minute, 3 minute lap times here, trying to get around. Maybe there's a chance that Schaefer catches up here. We can see he is obviously gaining a lot of ground by going a lot faster than the rest of the pack. But there's also 2 cars ahead of the entire LMP grid. They have now been told to go and catch up. That's 9th and 10th of Shepard and Wells. And so we're definitely going to still have another lap of our safety car. Another one. And
that must be Pietenpol as well. So that's now been rectified. What I was talking about, there we go. So that's now been rectified. What I was talking about and fearing for Blake Pietenpol was sort of losing an extra lap because he'd been lapped by the overall leader, but not by his class leader. and none of the others on the lead lap had been lapped by the overall leader. But it's pretty unlucky, really. Oh, and more GT3s are coming through here. So the same must have happened in GT3 Pro that I hadn't realised. That must be Austin Schildhauer and Tyler Crow, who are coming past at the moment as well. If you want to talk liveries, by the way, I think it's Austin Schildhauer, who I will put in as my vote for the... Yeah, there you go. There's a 2000s Williams livery for you on a BMW. Looks strange to have it on that car, but I quite like that.
Yeah, it's also, I think Tyler Crow, he's also got one of those chromatic style liveries just behind. I don't know, it looks real nice at Laguna Seca with the sun shining. You can see his doors are nice and chromy, and when the sun reflects off of it, you got to put some sunglasses on. But the two of them have indeed been instructed to catch up. And as you can see, they're at the top side of the track now, coming up to Rahal Straight, and the pace car is only coming through turn number 3 now. So we are still going to be here for quite a while. The GT3 class has started to gap themselves away from the LMPs, and off the track goes Tyler Crow, unfortunately. A little bit of pressure to catch up. I think he knows he's the final car that needs to catch up. So he's starting to push himself a bit, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he has to, really. Yeah, he's got to get to the back end of the field. I think they're going to send them green this lap anyway. The GT3s, again, are creating a large gap to the LMP2s out front, which is probably the right thing to do, really. And we're going to be racing effectively with about 10 minutes remaining. The lights are off on top of the pace car, but we have had that before. And there's all the gravel that he's brought onto the track as well. We've had a lot of that tonight, but that's one of the venues. This is one of the venues where we're going to see it a lot. If you don't like the gravel being brought onto the circuit, then you're in luck for the next couple of weeks, because we don't have any for next week. Well, we're not going to race, but the 2 weeks after that, Long Beach, which is street circuit, and the Austroma Hermanos Rodriguez as well, which doesn't really have gravel around, which is good. So, yeah, as Jim's saying in our area, the only debris will be bodywork bouncing down the racetrack in the next round of this championship. Hopefully there's not too much of that either, but we'll wait and see. We'll wait to see what happens in the last part of this race first, as Santa Maria really slows the field. Look at this, and let's hope they don't hit each other back there. Everybody's kept their wits about them, thankfully. Santa Maria's going to wait. Is he going to just use that final corner normally, if you like, and or is he going to... and he's going to go just before it, in fact. Hendricks there, caught off guard slightly as Santa Maria gets them going. The GT3s have pretty much caught up to the LMP2s here, as Matt Miles did almost exactly the opposite to Santa Maria there, who went very late. Miles is now going to... so he's going to now react by doing a slow restart as well. In GT3, which is going to stack the field right up on the front straight here. There they go. They're all very well behaved, though, and they don't step out of line. They all get underway very, very nicely. Mauro Santa Maria still leads, just in front of second-placed Edwin Hendricks. Then Scott Mowry, who had a great pit stop, is looking for second. And here he comes in the orange, looking down the inside, coming into turn 5. And he's got second place. Here comes Prebler as well. This could be bad news for Hendricks, who's stuck on the outside. Negret coming through too. Oh, it's a terrible lap for Edwin Hendricks, who's down to 5th. He's down to 6th. Here comes Aguila, up into the top 5 again.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate for the likes of him. Oh, there's huge contact going into Corkscrew, and that was Negret, like you mentioned, completely off. That would be a safety car being called, but I don't think it's going to be called. Negret completely off into Corkscrew and slamming into the side of that tire barrier. But I mean, what an eventful start there for the LP class. 6 positions gained over all of those drivers, and unfortunately there for that second driver of Hendricks, losing out again. Aguila getting pushed out wide by Puebla, and this could be yet again position changes. We'll probably get a replay there of what happened at Corkscrew, because that was very fast and eventful, and not too much of that action was actually witnessed. Aguila now looking to try and make an overtake. It's side by side behind for quite a couple of drivers. Jason Bock is a little bit further behind there, trying to dive up on the inside of another driver, but there is just so much going on. We've got about a 10-minute sprint, and it's side by side again going through to number 3. Alan Aguila is trying to make that happen against Puebla, and it looks like he might just, but someone behind is also getting the slip on Alan Aguila. This is all 4 of them stacking up 2 by 2, trying to go into the next corner. Aguila is going to lead, but now Hendricks trying to make up all the positions he's lost out. Puebla just up in front, and DuPont will try and make his way around. Thankfully, no dives into turn number 6, so nothing risky as of yet. Aguila, though, in 3rd, has managed to pull away now. But my goodness, what a huge amount of action we've just saw in the LMP2 class, all of them know the stakes are very, very tight right now. 9 minutes of racing is all that they've got after all the safety car incidents out on track. And even in the GT3 class, Michael Anderson trying to fight in third position right now. He's lost out to Zach Houston, who takes the lead of GT3 Pro. What on earth is...
Wow. Matt Miles has lost this lead after pretty much leading the whole way through, and you wonder whether Michael Anderson was something to do with it as he slows through turn 6. Well, there might be a story to tell there. Oh, and off! Just in the background. Who's that off there through the corkscrew? Trying to see if anybody's dropping down any particularly quickly, and it's Timothy Schaefer.
It's Timothy, yeah.
Who's already a lap down, so he will only drop further, I'm afraid. He's already quite a long way back, though. That's pretty wide for McLaren, which is going to lose some places as well. Into the pit lane, bizarrely, comes Jordan Butler. So there's all sorts happening here in this race. Pro-Am lead changes now as well, as John Bostwick is in the front. Where has Codderman got to? He's down to 7th, and this is him recovering. He's already been off here. I think he's still got gravel on his car, and he can't turn.
Oh, that's suspension damage.
Yeah, he must have been in the wall, maybe into the corkscrew. We'll try and find it.
That McLaren's looking a little bit damaged, if you have to ask me. I can see the sparks. Oh, there's a bumper flying. That looks like one of the other McLaren drivers, but I mean, you can see the sparks already grinding on the floor. He cannot get that car turned. And so definitely something wrong with the toe or camber there. It's definitely dropped well into the floor there. The ride height on the front left completely down. I wonder if he's hit into somebody or if something's just happened out on track. Oh, there's your accident. A Ferrari going, and he just has nowhere to run, and right into the side of the wall. And that's where you're going to lose all that suspension damage. The entire left side of the car getting quite a plunder against the wall, and that is enough to make that car completely imbalanced. And into the pit lane he'll have to go. That is unfortunately a unfortunate end to Cotterman's reign here in the GT3 Pro-Am class. Maybe he will stay in GT3 Pro-Am after this one. Unfortunately, there's not much to show that he'll be in Pro, because I don't know if he's going to finish too high up now.
Yeah, well, absolutely. In terms of finishing results, absolutely correct. Battle for second place, meantime, in Pro-Am, and Holland is going to hold on from Cox here nicely. Santa Maria has been caught massively by a bit of traffic there through the corkscrew, and Scott Maurer is suddenly right in behind for the race lead. Qualified in 8th place, but is challenging at the moment for this race lead from long-time race leader Mauro Santa Maria, who's got off to a brilliant start this season. 6 minutes to go, and that is going to be 5 laps remaining, I believe, here in this race. Plenty of time when you look at it that way for Scott Maurer to come through, especially when you look at the amount of traffic they're going to have to negotiate before the finish.
Indeed they are, and I mean, we're talking about that finish as if it's far away. It's about 5 minutes out, unfortunately. That's how fast this race has gone by. And so that's all the drivers have got to play with now, and everybody yet again scattered. I mean, it was looking so nice and organized after that pace car, but unfortunately the Skittles have come out of the box and they're all over the place now. David Turnbull continuing to push on now to DuPont and Bach up in front. And there's LMP struggling to get past the GT3s up in front, and also there by David Turnbull. And so the three of them will be fighting. This is for that position of 5th position, I believe, as we're currently with Turnbull, Joseph DuPont up ahead, and then obviously Justin Bach in 6th, Edwin Hendricks up in 5th, and so that is the ultimate chase. You can see Edwin Hendricks at the top of the hill over there, just up in front of the GT3s, and so he's trying to extend the gap now. But here comes Justin Bach. Can he get a nice squeeze past the GT3? Indeed he can, and the rest will follow in his trace to get past. Oh, it's a little bit of a push wide though from that GT3 with David Turnbull. He hasn't gotten the luck like the others have, and he's now stuck behind the big McLaren over here. But looks like he's going to be chased down as well by Harrison Holiday, who's had quite a good recovery drive here. We did see him drop quite a bit further back down in the Red LMP2, but he is yet again up into 9th position, 3 positions up since the start of this race, through this very eventful race, I got to say. 31 laps down, though. Jordan Cox now fighting. This is for the podium spot of the GT3 Pro-Am. He is in the current final spot, chasing on the backside of Jason Holland and Blake Padenpole, just a little bit further behind in the Porsche, who we thought was going to have an unfortunate circumstance, thankfully sorted by the pace car, and now he's fighting for the final spot of the podium here. with Jordan Cox, who's currently 5 positions up. So we'll have to keep our eyes peeled because 4 minutes left. This is where the action matters most. This is where those points are going to be absolutely dire. And in the background there, David Volp is also in this fight if he can catch up a little bit. But for the rest of them, the lead now of pro Zach Houston and the likes of Francis Cosby just a little bit further behind him as they now fight for the final spot of the GT3 Pro win.
Mistake from Houston, and Francis Cosby gets alongside into the Andretti hairpin. He's on the outside for 3 and 4 here. He's not going to go round there. He didn't even try in the end, and he's tucked back into line. Well, that was a big chance, and he might not get a better one there, Crosby, but he was alongside and just sort of gave it up. How much more pressure is he going to be able to put Houston under, and is he going to be able to force another mistake out of him, because that one there wasn't enough, clearly.
Yeah, definitely not enough there for Francis Cosby. I mean, a little bit of mistake there into the Andretti hairpin, like we just mentioned, for Zach Houston, but not enough for Francis Cosby. Great defense there from the likes of Houston to keep his position. And with 3 minutes left, he's got to use all his defensive skills in his pocket to keep that lead of the GT3 Pro race. Unfortunately for Matt Miles, who was leading for the entirety of this race, down in 5th, he definitely doesn't have any chance of winning this class for tonight's racing at Laguna Seca. And it really has proved its technicalities, hasn't it? I mean, showing its flame by fire over here. And a little bit further, there's Jordan Cox now fighting with Holland for that second position spot of the GT3 Pro-Am class. And they've got to watch out there because Bitepoint and Volp now right on the backside. That's not Volp, sorry. That's one of the other drivers. I believe that was the BMW livery that you do indeed love. But Jordan Cox, he's now having to fight. But that BMW not involved in the fight as they continue down the back in the main straight here.
Is it Schildhauser? Yeah. Who's
yeah,
who's involved?
Schildhauser. Yeah, I think it is Schildhauser.
Is there. So what? So this is overall battling, but it's not class position battling. Sorry, my timing screen is slightly confusing me at the moment, but it's my fault. Schildhauer is right in behind this Pro-Am battle, so as I say, those 3 up in front are overall actually ahead of him, but they're not in his class, so that makes it a bit awkward to decide what to do here about these 3 out in front of him. Holland, Cox and Bitepoint, who are 2nd, 3rd and 4th at this late stage in the race. Minute and a half to go. The leaders are on another lap, so the next time round they'll be seeing the white flag, and Santa Maria is not actually very far behind these guys. He's got 1.5 seconds to nurse over Scott Mowry, who is just in behind him in this race, and there's a side-by-side battle. Bitepoint gets alongside Cox into the corkscrew. Oh, late braking. They're both on the ragged edge, and Bitepoint gets onto the podium here in the very final laps of this race.
Yeah, great final overtake there from Bitepoint, and good stuff to get that final podium, but he has received the yellow flag for track limits, which means he's going to have to slow down, and that position is going to be granted back, I believe, to the likes of Jordan Cox, unless he's able to hold it through the corners over here. Unfortunately, no, he actually has been able to hold it. I mean, what a great use of track there to take away that pin. Oh, and there's contact between the LMPs. Roderick Mendoza getting completely spun around there. I wonder who that was by. That looked like Justin Negrete, maybe. And a very unfortunate there. I'm not too sure what happened. We'll get a replay of whose fault that actually was. It looked like a little bit of a side-by-side bumping for the likes of Negrete and Mendoza getting completely swung off track, but great recovery to keep it out of the walls. Very unfortunate that he has lost the spot and he's lost all of that track. Yeah, we go through Corkscrew. Was there a possible differentiation in speed? A good catch-up there from Negrete. And then on the inside line here, does his gap get closed? And there's a bit of the back tap. And Negrete going slightly, he stayed inside. I think Mendoza unfortunately closed the gap there a little bit, and he didn't have the space on the inside. Negrete had already planted the number 68 there, 66, sorry, as they continue onto the main straight. But Negrete in 10th, Bitepoint.
Sorry, it's very close for the race lead, and they're coming into the final corners of this race. Santa Maria is caught behind traffic in the Corkscrew, and he just needs to get back. That's McLaren, he has done. They're in the very final corners of this race, and Scott Mowry has thrown everything at this. He's only a half second behind. Mauro Santa Maria has just got to not make an error. Look at that. Mowry shows himself in the mirrors. He's not finished, right into the final corner, but he's going to have to cede defeat now. Mauro Santa Maria wins the first race of this season in front of Scott Mowry, who is just following him behind in second. They just get past Schildhauser, Matt Miles and Michael Anderson, by the way, in the GT3 Pros there at the very end. That's how they finish for 3rd, 4th and 5th. Holland holds off Cox for 2nd and 3rd. Harrison Holiday ends the season, or ends the race rather, with a black flag next to his name. He'll be outside the top 10 after an eventful day. But what's going to happen in the battle for the GT3 Pro lead here? Zach Houston is only just in front of Francis Crosby here on the very last lap. It's less than half a second. They're coming into the Corkscrew now. It's late braking from Crosby, but he's not close enough here. He's going to have to get inventive in these final corners. There's a bit of gravel for them to deal with as well. It's all happening here at the very end. Slightly tight on the inside there from Houston, but he's got that nicely done. A bit of dust kicked up by Crosby. Surely he's too far back from here. He's a mile away coming into the final corner, and under big pressure, Zach Houston's going to win in the GT3 Pro class. Both GT3 classes won by drivers who haven't really been in the lead for very long at all. Zach Houston wins in GT3 Pro, and John Bostwick wins in Pro-Am. What a great start to the season that was. And while the LMP2 leader, Mauro Santamaria, held on to the lead pretty much the whole way through, in GT3 there were some very late changes.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, Santamaria had a great run to keep it ahead. Obviously, before the safety car changes, he was well ahead. I mean, 7-8 seconds of a gap to second, but obviously finishing with just 7/10 to Mauri, who really had a dominating charge there in the final parts of this race. I mean, he really started to show his flames there in that orange and red LMP, and he caught up so drastically. As you mentioned, started in 8th all the way up to 2nd, almost claiming first place as well. So great amount of racing shown across our multi-class, and the traffic management was great, where we definitely could have seen worse, but we didn't. But there we go. Mario Santamaria taking the win here tonight for season 1, round number 1 at Laguna Seca. Scott Mari will take 2nd with Alan Aguilar in 3rd. Adrian Puebla will take 4th with Edwin Hendricks in 5th, with David Turnbull in the number 702, 6th position. Justin Bach, after lots of fighting today, 7th position is what he will get. Joseph DuPont, 8th, with Justin Negret in 9th. Jacob Sheridan, 10th position, and Brandon Herzing in 11th. Roderick Mendoza, after that very unfortunate tap in the final sector of this race, in 12th position. Harrison Holiday down to 13th. The winner of our Pro GT3, Zach Houston, in 14th, and Francis Cosby will take 2nd. John Bostwick takes the win for the GT3 Pro-Am in 16th position overall. Jason Holland will take 2nd in class and 17th overall. Austin Schildauer in 18th position. And then from 19th down, we've also got a couple more of Jordan Cox in 19th. Matt Miles will take 20th after having a dominating lead in the Pro, unfortunately not finishing where he wanted to. Michael Anderson, 21st position, with Tyler Crow in 22nd. Jordan Butler will take 23rd overall. Jed Cotterman, who was also leading that Pro-Am class the entire race, down to 24th overall and not even in the podium standings for that Pro-Am class. Jeremiah Cohn, 25th, with David Volp in 26th. Blake Pyden-Paul will take 27th, and Zach Shepard will take 28th. Anthony Wells, 29th position, with Blake Ward down in 30th. Sebastian Trujillo and Timothy Sheffer, 31st and 32nd. Aaron Sanford, 33rd. Brian Scott, unfortunately, the driver who did not make it in the LMP class. Patrick Rich in 35th. And Kenny Campos, who also didn't start this race alongside Patrick Rich, down in 35th and 36th. The final two drivers of this inaugural 36-car grid at Laguna Seca. And I've got to say, Ewan, it has been an absolutely fantastic race of multi-class racing here at Laguna Seca.
Yep, it certainly has. Close finish towards the end in all three classes, you could say. A lap actually in the end for GT3 Pro-Am, but that was slightly inflated by the fact that of where the leader was and so on. Let's bring in the overall leader and winner, shall we? Mauro Santamaria, who can join us now for a chat. Sorry, Mauro. We're still having a conversation. Sorry to interrupt. Welcome in. Good to have you with us. Hope it's all right to chat. Congratulations on a race win that was, in the end, only 3/4 of a second in your favour. You must have been feeling the pressure there on that last restart.
Yeah, it was definitely tricky. Obviously, I think the GT3s bunching up at the end didn't make my life easy. And obviously, having the final lap with all of them fighting made it quite challenging. I think overall, though, very happy with the result. So, yeah, not much to say besides that.
How did you deal with the safety cars tonight? Because there was a couple of them, which meant effectively you had to do a race start and a couple of restarts from the front of the field as well. You must have been sort of hoping at the start of the race was going to be the only time that you were really going to do that.
Sorry, my mom. Yeah, all good. I finished. Yeah, I mean, finishing the safety cars are definitely quite something. I think this is the first time I've actually worked with a safety car in any league, to be honest with you. I think mainly I just wanted to get a jump and just try to get as far as possible in the starts. Made my goal quite easy towards the next couple of laps. Yeah, having that buffer, catching people off guard is quite important, and just kept my head cool and just managed the rest of the race.
Well, congratulations on managing that just about perfectly to finish first overall tonight, and thanks for coming to chat to us at the end of the race as well.
Thank you.
Thanks
Great
so
broadcast.
Thanks so much. That's Mauro Santamaria, who wins in LMP2 tonight and indeed overall in GT3 Pro. It's Zach Houston who takes the first win of the season. Zach, welcome in. Congrats on a race 1 victory this season at Laguna Seca. You must have been sort of overwhelmed with all sorts of emotions throughout that race, I suspect, given the fact that you weren't leading for a good deal of that race until the very end, when it all matters at the end, you were leading. Tell us about those final laps, though, as Francis was putting the pressure on you for the win.
Oh, that was a great battle. Trying to get it into the last turn and into turn 1 for me was tough. He got past me on that one lap, and luckily I was able to get right back past him, but that was amazing battling. I don't know how I ended up in first, but clean racing does that sometimes, on the edge of my seat the whole time, for sure. It was a hectic race.
Yeah, absolutely. If you stay clean, there's a good chance you are going to end up at the front, especially at Laguna Seca. Is this sort of a model that you want to continue for the rest of the season then? Do you believe you can be challenging for race wins with that philosophy for the rest of the season, or is this going to be an outlier?
This is not my favorite track by any means. I like to be clean and not piss people off as much as I can. So we're going to try to be clean and faster. Hopefully first, second, or third off of just pure pace in the future.
Well, we look forward to seeing it over the next weeks. 10, I don't know how many weeks it is actually, but a lot of weeks, whatever. 10 total, there you go, over the course of the next 10 total races. Thanks for chatting to us tonight, and congrats on the win in GT3 Pro.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much. That's Zach Houston, the winner in GT3 Pro. And in GT3 Pro-Am, it's John Bostwick who takes the victory. John, welcome in. Congrats to yourself. I mean, a lap is your margin at the end. Obviously, the race very, very different to that. Talk us through what you were feeling when you saw Jed Cotterman dropping down the field there after getting involved in a crash that actually didn't start with him. You may not be aware. You ended up taking the victory there as a result. And, of course, driving well yourself as well. How are you feeling at the end of that?
Oh man, it was I have to say pure luck on this one. Practice went really well, qualifying was not good, and the race felt similar, where I was just hoping something would happen and got lucky with safety cars, thankfully.
Just how were those safety cars to deal with? Because it was, as you say, interrupted multiple times tonight. Did you sort of enjoy those interruptions in the sense if you could gain something afterwards, or would you rather they'd have stayed away?
Oh man, I wish they stayed. The first one prior to the green flag was literally in front of me coming down the corkscrew, and I got lucky and snuck through there. And yeah, it was a saving grace, but keeping the tires warm was hard. First safety car, my tires were down to like 21 psi, and it was very rough. So trying to get them hot and stay hot was number one.
Well, congrats on doing that and getting the win tonight in the first race of the season, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks very much. That's John Bostwick, who wins in GT3 Pro-Am here tonight. That is just about it from us, though, tonight. Tristan's had to go off with power problems, but big thanks to him for being alongside me for this first round of the championship tonight. As I mentioned before, this is a series that's not on every week, but most weeks. So join us back here on Friday nights, most weeks, for Roasted Record Bitepoint Sports Car Challenge action here from a variety of North American racetracks. Next time, coming to you from Long Beach. That is 2 weeks from now, as everybody goes off to enjoy the Daytona 24-hour iRacing event next weekend. I'm sure lots of guys in here will be preparing for that, maybe even in these cars in LMP2 or GT3. Who knows, but they'll be elsewhere, I would imagine, getting some sleep by this time in 1 week's time, and preparing indeed for the Daytona 24 hours. So a good luck to everybody who's taking part in that. I know that a few drivers actually in this race tonight are doing the same as well, actually. We got a message about that before the broadcast, actually, about those who are running with the Bitepoint guys in the Daytona 24. I think Michael Anderson, one of them, Francis Crosby, a couple of guys who were up there in tonight's race. Zach Houston, actually, we just chatted to there. He's going to be one of them as well. So anyway, good luck to all those guys and everybody competing next week. As I say, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time for that second race from Long Beach. Start time 9:30 Eastern time. Make sure you're here with us, same time, same place on Motormouth. For now, though, I've been your Lyric alongside Justin Herbst in the commentary box with Jim Cunningham behind the cameras of this broadcast. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time from Long Beach. Until then, it's goodbye for now.